Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Brewhouse Art Studio and another evening of motion capture and animation. I am Brian Brewer, and we're going to be going on this fun-filled journey into killing people. So tonight, I'm going to focus in on how to take cushion out of motion capture. When we shot these animations, we had our actor fall on a big thick mat, and sometimes he stood on the mat. He always fell on the mat. So what I'm going to be doing is getting all that sponginess out of the feet. But heads up, I have some new toys like this mic. I've got that green screen behind me, so hopefully you can see more of the screen. And I'm starting to be worried that my chat isn't working. But anyways, I got this new mic. Hopefully it's working okay. Got some new lighting. And looks like my OBS is having a hard time getting onto that chat. I wonder if I can go get to it through my website. Let's see here. I think I can do this. So again, I apologize for the fumbling and bumbling that I am currently doing. Well, Mr. Squarepeg, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you when you get back from moderating your stream. I appreciate your support. Let's see. This is going to be a fine balancing act. If I can pop that stream out. Yeah, I guess OBS is just having a hard time connecting to my my stream right now. That's all good. All right, so back to what's at hand. What am I doing tonight? I am going to be killing this guy. I've got some motion on here. I got a whole bunch of animations of him dying, and see what do we got here? Oh, shot in the leg. So this is raw mocap. And yes, raw mocap, uncleaned, live retarget. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of fine tuning to the controls. Just a little bit. I played with this before the stream. Got some gimbal there in the hips. So I think maybe I'll do a leg. Maybe last time I shot him in the head, this time we'll shoot him in the leg. And figure out how to make this feel like a good fall. Alright, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get some of that gimbal out of that hips. So if I go and select the mocap, which is that yellow skeleton there, go into my F curves. Grab that rotation, you can see where the gimbal's happening. It's right here. So as those hips start to rotate past that 180 mark, it doesn't know where to go, so it flips flips them around. I'm scrubbing through incremental frames right here. So let's just kill that. Kill that gimbal. Filters. Gimbal killer. Preview. Preview. Did it work? Reset. Oh, I have something selected. Unselect that. Make sure nothing's selected. Preview. There it goes. And now, no gimbal. All right. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take a little bit of that cushiness out of his feet. So when we shot this, the actor was actually standing on a thick crash mat. By the way, if anybody has any trouble with the audio, just please let me know. I will do my best to adjust accordingly. Let's see. I'm just playing some settings here. Over in open broadcast. Let me see if I can get some of this. There we go. It's a little bit better. I'm trying to see both my chat and what's getting recorded. All right. So I'll give you a breakdown of what I'm thinking about as I'm doing this. He gets shot in the leg, and then he needs to fall down and die. And we recorded it as two individual motions inside the same take. The initial, I'm just getting shot, and the actual follow through. You can see there's a lot of anticipation as the actor threw himself onto the ground. Whereas here, he really tried to not give that anticipation. There's still some anticipation because it's just normal, right? Normal to have anticipation. But we're going to have to get rid of some of that because it's a hit reaction. Because this is a live retarget, I can do a few fun things to help me out. I can actually take all the mocap and I can rotate it to be facing the direction I need him to face and put him right over 0. I could, if I wanted to, drop him to the ground in this pass as well. But I got to be very careful because he is falling all the way down to the ground. But it seems like it's working okay for this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plot this down. Plot to skeleton, plot to control rig. Get rid of some of that. I think I can hide the motion capture data now. I'm going to try a couple of experiments to see what works best. I have some ideas on how to do this. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on ground alignment for the feet. But first I need to check to make sure his floor contacts are not messed up. Floor contacts look good. Might be a little bit wide in the heels. I'm going to go ahead and pinch these in. Just a little bit. I'm also going to check on his hands because I'm going to be using the floor contact with his hands on this, which we haven't really talked much about. But it's like the feet. They work just like the feet do. You kind of want to push those floor contacts right up into the hands. Now that that seems okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn on floor contacts. For just for his feet, though. I'm not going to turn it on for his hands. Not yet. So character, modifiers, floor contacts, feet. You can see how his foot popped up over the ground. I'm going to get in a little bit closer so you can see what's happening. These right here are the floor contacts. So when I turn it off, you can see those floor contacts are going underneath the ground because that's where the mocap's going. If I turn it on, it's pushing through a series of IK. So the foot is not going to go past the ground. Still very cushy. Might try putting a little bit of an offset on his feet as an experiment. I'm not too worried about this step back. I'm really only interested in this first part of the animation. I think that's looking okay for the feet. At least for now. A little bit of wiggle. Because the actor was on a cushy mat, you can see the kind of the swimminess of the feet because the feet were gliding around on the mat. We'll take care of that. Plot to skeleton and plot to control rig. Let's organize this file. There's a bunch of animations in here. So I'm going to create a new take, and I'm just going to rename it. And you can do dashes, you can do slashes, you can name it. It's just a good way of organizing. Yeah, that was it. So I'm gonna drag that one down the list. I'm gonna put it underneath working. Now I'm gonna duplicate it because I'm gonna split this into two animations: the initial hit and then the follow through. I'm gonna go to the apex of this. This is the initial hit, so it's him getting hit in the leg. I'm gonna cut it there. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to crop this and get rid of some of that anticipation. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to start it off. I know I need him to go to there. I'm gonna go ahead and plot this down. And that kind of crops everything down. All right, so let's go to the other side of the animation, which is the follow through and the fall. Now I'm not going to actually start him back here where the apex of the other one ended. I'm actually going to have him start right about here. Here. Yeah, there. There it goes. I'm going to plot that down. Now, when you're stitching two animations together, whether or not they come from the same animation or not, it's best to work on the individual animations to make them nice and clean, and then start working on them to get them to work together. So I'm going to start with this one. This is going to be the more complex one because he comes and he falls down and he hits the ground. And when he hits the ground, he has this kind of back and forth movement because the pad that the actor was landing on is like shifting forwards and backwards from his momentum. So I'm just going to go into my F curves. I'm going to look at those. I'm just going to look at the Z. So one of my favorite things to do is to ghost. So I'm going to set keep on the ghost. This will allow me to make edits and not destroy. It's a non-destructive way of making your edits. So he slides back. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to pinch that up there like that. And I'm just going to start playing with these curves until I feel that it works. Usually right about here is where in a video game the animation gets killed and ragdoll takes over. So physics, right? Sometimes they just kill the animation. They say kill the animation right here, and that's all we'll animate. But this time we'll take them all the way to the ground. I think I need to lift that up a little bit. I'm going to try this new thing. I'm going to get out of classic mode. Fall radius is 1, 2, 3, 4. Say 4 frames. Just gonna lift that up like that. Give them a little bit of a bounce. Maybe I took away too much bounce. It's actually not bouncing all that much on his hips. We'll look at his side to side too on the X. See what that looks like. It goes a little back and forth just a little bit. It's not too bad though. I think I'll leave it in there. I'm a little sad that the mocap cut so early. I wish it didn't cut so early and that had a little bit more play in the legs. I could always go in and hand key it in later if I wanted to. And this is what I do all day. I sit and I watch animations over and over again and analyze them in my head What am I looking at? I'm kind of, I almost squint my eyes and I kind of look at him and as shapes and motion. And then I think about what I'm going to do next. All right. So if I'm happy with that, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to start playing with some other things, like his chest. See how far his chest is going into the ground. So I'm going to work from his core out, so his hips out. So I'm going to start with his hips, and I'm going to work my way up his body, since he's kind of landing on his chest. I'm going to ask myself, where do I like this? Where do I like the animation? I'm going to do these in full body poses. It hits. I'm going to put a key there because that's a main contact point, this chest. I don't think that's too bad. I'll set a key there. Right here, he's like completely into the ground. So I'll probably do a little of this and a little of that and set a key. And just start playing with keys. Ground is feeling a little more solid. It's amazing what one frame can do. So it's only one frame between this key and that key. If I turn off that layer, you can see what's going on. You turn it on and there you go. I might kill that key and see what it looks like. I'll put my 0 key in right here. Hey, how's it going? Mind stealth, right? Yeah. Oh, what it will take to have virtual reality in Star Citizen animation side? Are you talking about something like the Oculus Rift or some sort of VR headset? So this is that's a question for the player side. So back in the day when we were playing with it, we had code inside the game that was tied into the look poses. So the way the character's head would move around would be driven by the player turning their head around. But you had to be very careful because if you look straight down as a player, you could literally look straight through your body. Last I heard, I haven't heard anything about Oculus Rift or any sort of development for that for Star Citizen. But I'm probably not the person to ask that that question. From an animation side, I'm assuming we might set up some limits and some look poses or some look IK. But most of that looking around with VR headset would be based off of code. So we have animations like turn left, turn right, that sort of thing. So when a player would turn their head so far, it would cause the character to actually start to turn in place. And that keeps the head of the player from looking like it's spinning around like The Exorcist. But it's to get that in Star Citizen, it's gonna take just a little bit of code, I think. Yeah, but right now in 3.6 with free look, isn't it already like this? Kinda. It's kind of like that, yeah. I feel like that's an engineering question, and that would probably be something good to like post in the forums to find out more about that. I wish I could answer that more. All I can tell you is what they have requested from us on the animation side. So I wish I could help you out more with that question. I also don't want to say anything and be quoted somewhere. Because I honestly don't know where we're at with any sort of VR. I will say this, I'm currently working on the bartender for our game, and I really wish I could animate that here in my live stream. Maybe you can message Jared Huckabee and say, hey, we want to see Brian do another hour inside Star Citizen where we get to watch him animate. And I can show you what I've been working on bartender side. I think that'd be fun. That was a fun stream. All right, so I've got him hitting the ground a little bit more. I think I can go ahead and turn on hand floor contact too. The 1 hour isn't enough. Yeah. I could literally do it all day where I just animate and talk. I don't know how much I get done, but I could animate and talk. For grabby hands, which is what you're talking about by grabbing things, that would be an Ustjan Ross question. His team over in the UK in the Wilmslow studio is handling all grabby hands. But if you have a mission giver question, I might be able to answer a mission giver or a shopkeeper question or an emote question. We've been doing emotes. Emotes are interesting because the emotes are on the player character, right? So there's some things you have to think about with the camera when you do a player emote. Because when you do emote, you're not just animating third person, you're animating first person as well. So I turned on the hand floor contact, and you can see it's already helped keep the hands from going through the ground. I'm going to turn on IK just to see how that feels. So I might be able to come here and push this hand down till it hits the ground. Well, thank you. Thank you. We've been working hard on those emotes, and we have a whole lot more that we're getting ready to do, and all the emotes that we shot at CitizenCon last CitizenCon are currently being worked on, so that's exciting. Can't wait to get those in. So I'm using the floor contacts to help me. Help me animate those hands. I'm going to start going into body part mode now. I'm going to start working with these individual body parts. Get me a 0 key. This will be the contact. He's got kind of a wild head, doesn't he? Look at that thing. Bounce all over the place. So I think I'm going to do a neck fix on him. The way you do a neck fix is you go to the control rig and you select all the neck and head joints. Go to your curves, rotation. You have to do this on the base animation layer. And you want to zero out just the rotation. And then you're going to come to the control rig, which the IK still has rotational data on it, and I'm just going to turn that up. So now his head is being controlled by the IK. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to see what craziness is happening here. He kind of comes down, he hits. I don't like all that right there. So I'm going to keep those and ghost them. Seems like right about here is where we start having trouble. And there. Let's see. Let's see what happens if I cut those keys. It's not too bad. His head's not going all crazy. So I can hand key his head and not have to worry about counter animating the motion capture. And I'll do that on the animation layer. He has kind of this big barrel chest. His head snaps pretty hard there, so bump, bump. Ooh, ouch, snap. Tone that down a little bit. So this is all kind of, from a mocap perspective, just kind of blocking it in. I think that's good for now. I'm going to call that a pass. I'm going to plot to skeleton and back to my control rig. All right, now I'm going to go work on the other side. I'm going to work on the beginning, this right here. I guess I'll start from right here. I'm going to see how this works. So I'm not going to crop. I'm just going to zoom in on this part of the animation. That's going to be my 0 key. Make sure I do a full body key. Now I'm going to need to get him into his neutral pose. Normally a pose would already be established and we'd be just pasting it on from our pose tools. So I'm using the control rig to my advantage by pinning things down, being able to get, you know, hopefully a good pose on this guy. Which mission giver did I work in? I worked on Clem. And I worked on Pacheco. And I also oversaw a lot of the other mission givers like Darneely, who we saw at CitizenCon. I think the only mission giver I didn't oversee was Eckhart, which was like the very, very, very first mission giver that we introduced. All right, so I'm just getting him an okay pose on his fingers. Something so his hands don't feel so dead or stiff. Oh, so are you are you talking about the mission givers, or are you talking about this guy here? Give him a drink. See, I'm trying to think the squadron ones. I know everything was shot PCAP, so Chris Roberts directed everything, and so we were delivered motion capture, and that's what we edited, was everything that Chris Roberts shot. We are working on like fidgety idles, so if they're just sitting there, they're doing more than just kind of sitting there. So that is on the plate. I will give a few little statistics here. So the average mission giver has about 200 animations for just giving missions. That's not including transitions or idle poses or fidgets. It's also not including wild lines or nighttime activities, because at some point they're going to be able to exit their job of giving missions and be able to wander to the bar and have a drink. So you multiply that by, gosh, I'd have to sit here and think about how many we have and how many we've shot. That's a lot of animation. So we're slowly getting to it. Eventually at some point she will move from her chair. And she will go to the bar. And she's going to probably be a little sloshed. And probably talking to whoever's sitting next to her. I know, because I edited those animations. All right, so I think I've got an okay pose on him. Like I said, normally we would have an established pose and we just paste that pose on here. And what I like about this is there's no anticipation, because you wouldn't have anticipation when you're getting shot. I think his fingers will probably be a little splayed out here. think I want his fingers to go to that pose right here. Just slide that key over. I think this is close, but but not 100%. I mean the beginning of the animation. I feel like there's probably still a little too much anticipation here. Probably wouldn't work so well for a video game. I'm going to try pinching it in just a little bit. Maybe to right here. So I'm going to my pose controls and I'm going to create a pose so I don't have to repose him. So I created a pose. Oh, I don't know if you can, I think I'm in the way. Where is it? There he is. Right there. Pose. So the question is, do I think the characters push one against the other or and fall, maybe break a limb? So yeah, bumping into other characters in the game and knocking them over physics wise. I know we have physical bumps. They haven't been implemented yet, especially with mission givers. So you can essentially walk up to Batiglia or somebody who's just standing there and bump into him, or a shopkeeper if you get behind the counter and bump into him. There's physical bumps. We shot him. We just don't have code support right now. Everybody's so focused in on Squadron 42 that all of our resources are going there. But at some point we will have physical bumps where you can knock into somebody. Knocking him down to the ground, that's another question. That's not for me, that's for design. Feel free to hit up design with that question. All right, where was I? Oh yeah, I was getting rid of some of this. I'm gonna try right here. This is all experimental. I encourage people to experiment when animating. So let's try pasting that pose right there. That's probably about right. And go back a frame and see how it feels. A little bit slow. I'm going to go take that frame away. Oh, excellent. That's exciting. Well, I don't think I'll be at this year's CitizenCon because it's going to be in the UK. But feel free to go up to any animator there and ask them all your questions. Tell them I sent you. No, we really enjoy talking about the game. If this was a more formal format for Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium, I would probably be I'd have a list of things that I can definitely talk about and probably talk a little more freely. All right, so I think I'm going to go with this. All right, so I'm going to plot this down. So this is the pose I want. I'm going to copy that pose. Now it's time to go and work on back onto the other one, the other half of the animation. Set a keyframe right here, full body. Set another keyframe right here. This is where I'm going to paste that pose. All right, so I want to make note that this is frame 109. That is good. I'm happy you joined in. You have a good night, and I hope to see you again next time. And come check in. Watch me sculpt sometime. I'm going to try to do more streaming sculpts and stuff. Sculpting and streaming. But good night, Mind Stealth. You have a good night. All right, so right there, 109. I want to make a mental note of that. Usually I have a notepad. I'll write these numbers down. Time to go into story. Insert that take. Go grab the other animation. Insert that take. I'm going to start blending these together. So I said it was 109 right there. So that frame right there is the same as that frame right there. So I'm going to come and I'm going to drag those two together, and that's where one animation stops and the other animation begins. But I have all this blend right here. So this is just going to be a little bit of playing around with timing. And go to my properties, set my fade in and out to be smooth. So this is a little bit slow and too many frames. So I'm going to cut that in a little bit or crop it in. Still get a little bit of a it's not good. Punch that in a couple frames. So all it is now is just playing with the timing. And if I don't like how fast or slow this animation is going, I can play with the timing in here as well. I think I'm going to speed that up just a bit. It's a little bit better. Maybe one more frame. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and plot this down. Actually, you know what? I'm going to first move this to frame 0. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That'll work. And delete this. Now it's time to go in and smooth. Now you might have noticed the animation's a bit rough. So but I haven't smoothed it out because I wanted to wait until this pass to actually smooth things out. Because if I smoothed the individual takes, I would still have to smooth the curves from where I blended them. And I don't want to over smooth it. I still want to keep some of that fidelity and that snappiness. So I will smooth that in this pass. Go to my filters. Smooth. Set it to a very low number, like 2. Preview it, accept it. There we go, that's much better. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Still a little bit slow. Human motion tends to be a little bit slow, so in video games sometimes it's good to speed up the natural human motion. This animation is just over 1 second. It's 36 frames, 30 frames a second, so it's just over 1 second long. And 1 second is an eternity in game time. There's multiple ways you can do this. I can do it all in the F curves. I can go into the dope sheet. I can put it in story. There's a lot of steps to some of these. But what I've discovered is the best way to scale on a small little animation like this is to do it right here in the transport controls in your timeline. And the way you do it is you make sure you are on full body mode. That way you're moving all the keys to the body. Then you come down here and you go to no snap because I want to be able to drag these keys into incremental frames. If I don't do that, I'm going to have keys overriding other keys, and it will look really bad. Then I'm going to go ahead and select all my keys. And I'm going to, now I can either drag this down like that to time it, which doesn't give you a lot of control sometimes. It's kind of got a mind of its own. Or I can come in here and I can just punch in a number. In this case, I'll knock it down by 6 frames. So knock it down to 30. So that's a full second for him to fall. The key is to get it to fill fast and quick without looking cartoony or like Benny Hill. Like, we don't want Benny Hill speed. We want just fast animation. All right. Plot to skeleton and plot to control rig. Now I'll bake everything down. Now we call that done, and I move on to the next one. But as for tonight goes, I've got other things I need to get done, other things I want to get done. So I'll probably call this done for this stream. So to kind of review kind of like what we talked or what we did. Oh gosh. We took an animation that was specifically shot with 2 elements, a hit and a reaction, or a follow through, or whatever you want to call it. We cut that apart. We edited each individual piece of data, and then we edited it to work together, and then we edited it together, and then we smoothed everything out and we adjusted the timing. We did things like get rid of some of the bounce, the cushion, make sure that he's not clipping through the floor, at least not egregiously clipping through the floor. And yeah, that is that. So, anyways, I hope everybody has enjoyed, and I think I might. I got a couple new toys. I might try setting up toys for live streaming. So I might play with that. But I think I might do some sculpting, and if I do, I'm going to reconfigure my office here and get everything set up for that. So, anyways, I hope to see you all again next time. And I hope you all have a good night.